Hey, it's Pastor Dan at Coverstone. I'm going to share today both the dream and the vision that I had that were very closely linked. I had a dream one night on September 14th, and the next evening I had a vision. And when I shared the dream, I did not share the first part because I was still trying to look at it and figure some things out. But here's how that went. Saw a calendar, and it started at January. And it flipped all the way through to December. So every single month, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, it just kept flipping. And in the corner of each of the months, there was a picture of a tree, almost like those flip books that you would flip and the thing would move. And what I saw was a seed was planted the first couple months. The tree quickly grew, and then it died over the stage of that 12 months. So as the calendar is flipped, I'm seeing the corner. My attention was drawn to the corner, and I was seeing a little flip box, so to speak, like just in the corner of the calendar. And I was watching the tree go from seed to tree to leaves to rotting, dying, and finally flat ground again. Each stage of the tree, from birth to rotting to nothing, literally was covered by those 12 months. And it was, like I said, a little flip book with a picture. And then I saw a field that was filled with trees, and they were bare of leaves, but they began growing. Leaves began to grow. So obviously it was winter, January, so to speak, and the trees were growing, but they were growing from the top down. They didn't start from the bottom. The leaves grew from the top down. Starting as sprigs and then full leaves, then turning colors. And then they began falling off of the tree, but from the bottom up. So the leaves started growing from the top down, and they started falling from the bottom up. And I saw a totally bare landscape with all the trees with not one single leaf on them at all. And then a man dressed like, the best word I can use is like a lumberjack, or someone you would see in Vermont that goes out to tap some of the trees for maple syrup, came walking. He had a very, very large bucket, a heavy hammer in his hands, and was walking up this snowy incline towards the largest tree in the grove, and this large tree stood out. He stopped and removed a syrup tap, and he hammered it into the tree, but he was hammering it at a level higher than his head, way above his head. He then took the bucket and attached it to a hook that was on that tree. So the bucket is well above the ground. The syrup tap is hanging out above his height. Man had this ancient style white beard. His eyes were closed as he walked. No movement. No movement from the trees. No limbs were moving. Nothing like that at all. And then he turned his back and he walked away. Suddenly we start to see, it looks like the syrup, the watery pulp type stuff is coming out into the bucket, and the bucket is very large. It's almost like a cauldron, and so he hangs the bucket, and it almost looks like Karo syrup coming out of the bucket itself. So it goes from a watery appearance, light colored syrup like Karo, and then it starts getting darker, and then it eventually turned into blood. And suddenly the bucket, that's more like a cauldron now, is beginning to shake. And it's almost like this bucket's on fire. There's no fire at the bottom of the tree by any means. But there is obviously something going on, and the bucket is shaking. And suddenly it's frothing, almost as if it's being boiled, but there's no fire underneath it. And the blood's starting to come up and out of the bucket, and it flows over the bucket and goes onto the ground and literally begins to spell out some words. And those words that were spelled out were guilty as charged. And that was unlike any dream I had had. This would have happened before a Supreme Court justice passed away. I did not see any legal ramifications. But the words that are spelled out were guilty as charged. And that's what I saw in the dream. Then the next evening, watching a movie with my son and my wife, and and had the dream about the hospital person. And the man that I saw standing beside that elderly woman at the bedside was the same man I'd seen in the dream, who put the syrup tap in the tree and blood began to come out of that tap. I had seen this weakened, very malnourished woman laying in a hospital bed. She was emaciated. Her skin was paper thin, almost like it was been broken. And some of you will know what I mean by that. And this man was standing right near her bed, almost as if he was an orderly or a male nurse, but he was standing right by the bed. He put down the side rails, he lifted her out of that bed, and he just began to hold her as close to his chest as possible, and his eyes began to mist over. And I really believe that, in a sense, in my dream, that this was maybe like a father or a son who's watching his mother about to pass away. And there weren't tears, it was just mist in the eyes. And the lady, she was trying to move a little bit, but she was so weak she could not. She could barely open her eyes. Her mouth was not moving. And I saw him as he held this lady to his chest. He just kind of expressed almost a peacefulness. And he squeezed the hand that was kind of hanging there. And that's when the color began to appear in that hand. Her skin was already chalk white. It was a pale, almost alabaster white. I saw her cheeks begin to pale up because I thought at first he was praying over her speaker, but he began to breathe over her. And in the process of breathing her, that's when he grabbed the hand, and that's when the skin began to kind of come back to life. The color began to come back to the lady. Pretty soon her hair was beginning to turn light shades of brown. She opened her eyes a little bit and looked around, and weight was coming back on it. And I was actually watching the body of this woman become healthy. It was as if life had been breathed into her at that moment. Finally, she catches attention to what's going on, and she asks to be put down. And the man holding her, he says, "No, you're not strong enough. You need to rest. So listen to me, you just need to rest." He also said, you'll be able to get up soon. You'll be able to get up soon. And the woman said she was well enough to walk, but the man said he knew better again. You need to rest. You need to rest. You need time. She started to ask one more time, and he basically told her very firmly but gently, "No. If you walk too soon, you're going to limp. You need rest. You need to heal up." And he walked towards the door, said for her not to try to walk too soon, once again, because she would limp. He said, "You need to be able to run. You need to be able to run, so stick to the instructions." And then this man, for the first time that I recognized from earlier in other dreams, the white ethereal figure had now appeared to me in a dream the night before with the syrup tap in the trees. And I was walking out that door of this emaciated lady, and he said, "Stay braced and occupy till I come." Been a lot of different ideas about who this lady is. I believe it's the church. I believe that we have been woken up, that God's trying to get us ready. We don't understand how big and difficult of a battle that is coming against us. And some people are very, very antsy to get out there, but they're not ready. They think they're ready, but they're not. There's a lot of believers in the church. In Matthew 7, Jesus said, some will say, "Lord, Lord, but we cast out demons, we healed the sick, we did miracles." And he's going to say, "Get out of my presence. I've never known you. I never knew you." So we got a lot of people in the church world that they've come to church and they've heard the messages, but they've never surrendered their lives to Jesus. They've never taken up the cross. They've never followed him. And they're the ones that are going to think they're ready for what's coming. Folks, I don't think, in one sense, any of us can understand exactly what's about to face us. I don't know exactly why God's telling us to brace ourselves, but I believe it literally means to get ready for something that's about to hit us. And we're warned about what's coming so that we can withstand it and still be standing when it goes by us. So I encourage you, wherever you are in the Lord, I know churches have been shut down because of COVID. I know a lot of people, 40% of people who used to go to church before COVID will not be coming back because of the situations and changes in their lifestyle. But I'm telling you, if you are part of the church, if you're saved and you're really committed to the Lord, I want to challenge you to get into the Word, to get into prayer life. Make sure you're ready for the attacks that are coming, because He wouldn't give us the warning to get ready unless the things that are coming are pretty strong and pretty big. I've heard from over 10,000 people personally, Facebook, emails, people looking me in the face, over 10,000 people that have said the dreams that I've had have been resonating in their hearts, their minds, and their spirits, and it confirms that what they have sensed the same thing, that something big is coming. And that many people cannot be wrong. That many people cannot be wrong. Now, I've made statements from the first dream I put out that if things end up not going anywhere near like some of the things I've seen, you bet I'll be the first one to say, man, I'm still going to tell you this. I'm a pastor who had a dream. I'm not the one that made him go viral. I'm not the one that pushed him to go viral. I never shared a video of anything I did. But I know what I sense in my heart. I know what I sense in my spirit. And what I sense is there's a time of trouble, a time of persecution coming to the church that we're not really ready for. And even those that think we're ready, we've got to become even more ready, because it's going to surprise us. Like back at chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, God told the prophet, I'm going to show you things even more shocking than what you've seen. So we've got to be prepared. God wants us to get our hearts and our minds wrapped around the fact that through many trials and tribulations, we will enter the kingdom of heaven. We're supposed to work while it's yet day, and the sun is starting to set. So church, be the church. Go out there, stay in the Word, stay rooted and grounded in the fellowship, forsake not the assembling together yourselves. Be praying, be fasting, be seeking His presence, and let the Lord move in your life, because He needs us to be light and salt in today's world. So thanks for watching. Take it to heart. See what the Lord wants to do with you. But go out there and be ready to fight. God bless and thanks.